Okay, in this video lecture, we are going to describe the ovarian follicles and the role of hormones. It is again a very important topic. As we know that in females, this primary oocytes, they get formed before birth, and no primary oocyte is formed after birth. Okay, after formation in before birth, these primary oocytes, they remain surrounded by a layer of flat epithelial cells. As you can see, this is the nucleus of primary oocyte. This is a layer of flat epithelial cells called as follicular cells. These are flat squamous cells. Okay, so all the primary oocytes are surrounded by this flat epithelial cells forming primordial follicle. Okay, now what happens is every month some primordial follicles, they start growing. Okay, and these flat epithelial cells, they begin to convert into cuboidal cells. This is the early pre-antral stage, or the growing follicle, or the early primary follicle. Okay, so in this stage, two things happen. One is zona pellucida begin to form, and second is this epithelial layer, it converts into cuboidal layer. Keep in mind that this zona pellucida, it is an acellular layer made of glycoproteins and is formed by these cuboidal cells as well as stimulated by primary oocyte. And the second thing, follicle stimulating hormone, it is not necessary for formation of this primary follicle from the primordial follicle, but the problem is when this follicle stimulating hormone will not be there, then it will not these primary follicles which have been formed, they will become atretic, they will degenerate. So FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone, it prevents the degeneration of these primary follicles. So this is the mature primary follicle. Here these cuboidal cells, they get multi-layered. Now these follicular cells will be replaced by, or will be called as, the granulosa cells, and the zona pellucida will be well defined at the stage of mature primary or the pre-antral follicle. Okay, see, this is mature primary follicle with well defined zona pellucida. Now after this after this primary follicle formation, some follicular fluid, it gets accumulated here, okay, forming a space called as antrum. Surrounding the follicle, there is ovarian connective tissue. As you can see in other stages also, it gets adjusted as it gets arranged in the form of a layer around this follicle called as theca layer, theca folliculi. This is the vesicular or the antral follicle, in which antrum is formed, a space is formed which is crescent shaped or semilunar shape. This oocyte, primary oocyte, it gets off center. Okay, so this is antral follicle. So keep in mind that follicle stimulating hormone is mainly playing a role in the maintenance of primary follicle, mature primary follicle, as well as in the formation of vesicular follicle from this primary follicle. Okay, so it helps in its conversion also. It helps in maturation of primary follicle. But after this vesicular follicle stage, this theca layer around that, it gets arranged in two layers, theca interna and theca externa. Theca interna is vascular layer, it is secretory in function, whereas theca externa, it is fibrous layer. All the follicular fluid, it gets accumulated more and more, and forming a large antrum. Okay, and this primary oocyte at this stage, it gets converted into secondary oocyte. Now keep in mind that this conversion of vesicular follicle to the Graafian follicle, it is under the influence of luteinizing hormone or the LH. Here the secondary oocyte along with the zona pellucida, it gets surrounded by these same granulosa cells forming a mound called as cumulus oophorus. Okay, so you have to keep in mind that this follicle stimulating hormone FSH, it also stimulates the maturation of these granulosa cells, and also it helps in secretion of estrogen. How? Basically, this theca interna layer, this theca folliculi, as well as the granulosa cells, they produce estrogen. Sorry. Finally, this theca interna layer, it produces androstenedione and estrone. Sorry. Again, I'm saying this theca interna layer, it produces androstenedione and testosterone, whereas the granulosa cells, they convert these hormones. Like theca interna is producing androstenedione and testosterone, and this granulosa cells, they are converting this testosterone to estrone and 17 beta estradiol. Okay, so on the whole, this estrogen formation is there. What is its role? Basically, this estrogen formation, it helps in the proliferation of uterine endometrium. That is, it is the main hormone. Estrogen is the main hormone responsible in proliferative phase of the cycle. Also, the main thing, it causes the thinning of the cervical mucus. As we had read that sperm enters through the vagina and cervix up into the through the uterus into the fallopian tube. So it it thins the cervical mucus so as to enhance the entry of these passage of sperm, entry and passage of sperm. Okay, and third thing, estrogen stimulates the pituitary gland to secrete luteinizing hormone also. Clear? So estrogen has three roles. First, proliferation of endometrium. Second, thinning of the cervical mucus to allow the passage of sperms. And third, it stimulates the production of luteinizing hormone. Okay, now comes the action of luteinizing hormone. As I have already said, that luteinizing hormone helps in conversion of primary to secondary spermatocyte. Okay, and further it helps in the conversion of primary to secondary spermatocytes, completing meiosis II. Also, it helps in the maturation of vesicular follicle, or antral follicle to the mature Graafian follicle. Okay, and thirdly, it elevates the concentration of maturation promoting factors, which is mainly responsible. Basically, this conversion of primary to secondary spermatocyte is because of maturation promoting factor produced by luteinizing hormone. And finally, luteinizing hormone causes follicular rupture, thereby causing the expulsion of secondary oocyte and hence ovulation.